Well, hello, everybody. Jonathan over here. Welcome to the Village Whitby Online. Thanks so much for joining us, hanging out with us, hitting pause on your life, hitting play on this video. We are doing this week and the next couple of weeks on Zoom. So if you see this screen, and you'll see the screen in a few minutes with our guest, it's because we are on Zoom. Again, thanks for joining us. If you're watching for the first time, extra special welcome to you. If you want to know a little bit more about the Village Whitby, you can check us out on Instagram. You can see us on Facebook. You can go to our website, thevillagewhitby.ca. We are now gathering on Sundays in the month of August. We are doing these online gatherings for us to watch from wherever you find yourself in this month of August. We're also having some midweek stuff. So if you want to hang out with some people in person, check out our Instagram. There's some information on a couple of Wednesdays, a Thursday night, and then a picnic on Labor Day weekend. So hope you can join us for some of those things. It'd be great to see you in person. We are in the middle of a series called One on One. We started it a couple weeks ago, and we are continuing it today. Our guest today, and the person we are chatting with, that I get a privilege to chat with, is Sarah Hayes. And she's someone from our church community. She's a mom of 3 kids. She's married to Jordan. She is an educator at a school. And so I'm really looking forward to you hearing just some stuff from her and just some of the questions that we're going to go through. So without further ado, here is this week's interview. Peace. Bye. All right. Well, as I said, Sarah is joining us today. I'm so glad that she said yes to do this interview. For those of you that don't know Sarah, this is Sarah Hayes, and she's from our church community, and you're going to hear a little bit about her. But Sarah, welcome to our Zoom interview today. How you doing today?
Hi, happy to be here.
Yay, I'm happy that you're here too. Are you enjoying your summer?
Loving it. Can't believe it's half over already.
Don't say it.
But
Don't
just
say
loving the slower pace, the warm weather, being with my kids more. And I love all the things. So
It's good. And we're not going to tell you that in a little over a month you have to be back in school, right? We're not going to say that.
Please don't tell me. I'm not listening to that. I'm
good.
in denial. No.
You didn't hear. You didn't hear it. All
Yeah,
right.
no.
So how we're going with these interviews is we're basically, chatting with one different person from our church community every week. And Sarah is number 2 in our journey in August. And I'm going to ask her the same questions in the beginning as I asked Jake, and how I'm going to ask Joey and then Christina in a couple of weeks from now. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, Sarah, is tell us 3 things about you.
Okay. 3 things. One thing that I love is just being by the water. That is like my happiest place ever. It's the place where I feel most calm, where I feel really close to God, and just really, I just find it really relaxing. And I think that would be my absolute dream, to live by the water for the rest of my days. So that's the first thing about me.
Yeah.
Probably you agree.
You're speaking my language. I've been by a lake the last couple of weeks and paddling like almost every day. So I've been in heaven.
So wonderful. And then the second thing, I could probably eat pasta every meal of every day, in any form that it comes. I love pasta, and then followed by probably a good glass of wine and chocolate. I need chocolate probably every day. It's my biggest weakness. Those 3 things are just it for me. Love it. I could eat any of those things every day.
Okay. I often say that the song 8 Days a Week from the Beatles, that's my song about pasta. I can eat pasta 8 days a week. So that's good.
Same. Yeah, that would be it. And then the last thing is probably not surprising, but I love music and lots of different genres. And from a young age, I've always loved music. My parents used to say if I was sad or upset, music would be the thing that would just kind of get me out of my funk when I was young. And I think as I've grown up, it's just become such an important thing to me. And then worship music in general is just something, it's just the biggest way that I connect with God. So those are kind of 3 things about me.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing all those things. So you connected with God through water, pasta, and music. Okay, we're good.
Those 3 things. If you ever see me, if I need a lift, just hand me any three of those things
things.
and I'll be good to go.
All right. All right. Good stuff. So first or second question I want to ask you is this. So you've been part of our church community for a while.
I think 7 years now.
Yeah, and then and just church in general. So I want to ask you, like, what do you value about community as well? Second part, but you can answer them however you want. What do you value about being part of a Jesus community? So what do you value about being part of community? And then more specifically, part of like a Jesus forming community. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've always just valued a sense of belonging and just kind of like a coming as you are and just learning and growing together and just figuring things out together. That's kind of what I've always valued. And I think in finding Jesus's community, I actually think that when we first kind of came to the Village, the first thing that drew us to the Village was the community. I remember, I think the first Sunday we came, it was meeting around the snack table. And that was just something so different that we had never seen at any other church before. And we just very quickly started making connections and just in a very simple way, just by eating and drinking tea or coffee together and just talking about life. And it happened very quickly for us. And I think that's what drew us in just in those early days. And then we actually got connected with small group very early on and started going to Brad and Carly's place. And we just made such strong connections there as well. And like all of those people that we kind of met there and just kind of shared life with there, they've become some of our closest friends, and they have become our community through the years. And you know, lots of things have kind of changed in our life. Lots of babies have been born. Lots of jobs have changed, moves have happened, and that kind of thing. But I think that foundation of community is kind of what has stayed with us all. And we've, you know, through all the ups and downs of life, like we've been able to just keep that strong community with all those people. And so that's kind of, that's kind of what I value. It's just doing life together, I think. And kind of wrestling with, you know, what God is teaching us and, you know, how God is growing us and how we can apply things to our own lives and our families and that kind of thing. So,
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's
very, I was just going to say, I'm very, very thankful for the community that we have at the Village.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's helped me in so many ways through stuff I've gone through. And then just a plug for those that like, you're a bit like, you feel it's a risk to be part of a small group if it's either in person or Zoom, because you're like, oh, how's it going to go? But like, man, sometimes you don't know where it leads as far as relationships and connections. And like you say, people have faith questions or questions about life, and you can talk about it and pray about it and encourage each other and even challenge each other, which is always good, right? So and I do love our big table at the Village. I think it's such a good thing, a few minutes just to feel like we can actually just breathe and talk to each other and connect, you know? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's very unique for sure.
Yeah. So change directions a bit. You are a parent and you are a DECE, dedicated educational, early childhood educator. Got it right. I got it right. Yay, I got it right.
Good job.
So my question to you is, in both of those roles, how do you see God in the middle of those two roles in your life? Like, how do you see God doing stuff? You can kind of address the school thing and you as an educator, and then you can address maybe the parent thing in that too. Yeah.
So you know, but maybe not everyone knows, I am a parent of 3 young kids, 3 under 7. And then I do teach kindergarten as well. So it's very busy and very, you know, I feel like my attention is constantly being like pulled in a million different directions at any point, any day. My patience is being tested. It's busy. But I've always wanted to be a mom, and I do count it a very high calling and privilege and an honor, just to be my kid's mom and to be just to kind of live out my faith in my home and be an example to them, and just to live by example. As I said, they're very young, and so we're just kind of starting out. But I just even think like in like our actions and the way that we live our life, like it's just like I don't take it lightly, and my husband, like Jordan and I, don't take it lightly, and we just think it's such a high calling to be able to be Jesus to them and show them Jesus, so that one day hopefully they'll come to that on their own, and discover faith on their own. And so, and then through my work, I do work for the public school system, so it is, although I don't get to speak about Jesus as freely, just because it is a public school system. But I do also find it a privilege that I can be Jesus to those kids. And, they're so young coming in, and a lot of them come from a lot of different backgrounds and that kind of thing. So just to show them like God's character and his love and that kind of thing is also just a huge privilege and calling on my life. And I don't take it lightly, for sure.
Yeah, it's good. I love that you see it that way, of course, on the parenting, but that's like your home. You guys set up, at least as your kids are growing up, the values that you hope that they would aspire to. But then, like you said, in a public school, it's public, and we live in a society that we're living with a whole bunch of different kinds of people, which it's also a privilege in a sense, and to live at peace in those things. But then, to feel like you can live out at least try to be, like you say, like living out the values of Jesus in those places by showing care and grace and mercy and presence. Like I feel with kids, like, and you see it in your own kids, but kids at school, like when you're present with somebody, it really does make a difference in their life, doesn't it? Even as a kid, eh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They just drink it up. They just eat it up. They just like love that, like you're just, invested in what they're doing or saying or whatever. And I think that's like the simplest way you can show God's love to them. Both with my own kids and the kids that I teach.
And I think some people don't, like, they take it for granted because they feel like, I don't know, in some faith circles, they feel like you have to always be talking about something faith oriented, and nothing's wrong with that. That's good. If the opportunity is there to share, obviously, and you feel to go for it. But at the same time, I really think like, just us doing our work well and being present in people's lives, adults or kids, like your coworkers or whoever, right? I think it's a beautiful privilege, that you have. I think, and you get to see both of those worlds because you're a working mom, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree. Like it's just being present and loving people and meeting them where they're at, and not necessarily always throwing like Jesus at them, but just being Jesus. I think that's really what we're called to do.
That's beautiful.
So
transitioning from that, and thanks for sharing that. And I love watching families like yourself, and I can mention others. Just I love watching you guys do what you do and be who you are and try your best to parent, and I think like do it so well. Like again, when I say that, none of us are perfect. There's so many errors that we make, right? I get it. Ask my kids like how many mistakes I've made as a dad, right? But I love like watching and cheering on young families because I think it's so tough. Like people are so busy and it's so hard. And so I don't know, I'm just privileged to watch families like yourself, you and Jordan and your kids and some of your friends and our community, like do what they do because it's not easy. And I think you guys do it really, really well. Yeah. So
that's kind of you. Thank you.
So I want to transition to I think a topic that we'll talk about for the next few minutes. And you lost your mom to cancer is it over a year ago? How long was it? How long is
Yeah,
it
it's
now?
about a year and a half ago now. A year ago in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a year ago last January, or will be.
This past January. So a year ago this January. Yeah,
Okay,
this past
okay.
January. So a year and
Wow.
a half we're at.
So a
Yeah.
year and a half. Because I know when you lose someone, then you like the time just flies. You're like, I can't believe it's that much time, eh?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us, in losing your mom, I know you were close to her. You guys have a great
Yeah.
family from my observation on the outside, but how are you doing, and how have you grieved in these last, year, 18 months, and maybe even before it
Yeah.
happened, Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty good. How have I grieved? I would say those early days, and I know you can relate, but those early days where everything seemed impossible,
Yeah.
to be honest, like it just the normal day to day, just I think when you lose someone that you're so close to and is such a big part of your life, like sometimes even getting out of bed, putting one foot in front of the other, just parenting, working, like all the things just seem impossible, so, like in those early days. But as time goes on, you just you have to find a way to figure out how to do life without that person. And so for me, looking back, like I know we talked about like our large community and that kind of thing, but looking back, I think I really pulled back and just really spent a lot of time with my family. I'm very close to my family. Spent a lot of time with the friends that were closest to me. So like a close-knit group. I think it was just like I just pulled back because I think I was just afraid to I was afraid to feel in front of a large group of people. I was afraid of my own emotions. I just wanted to feel those feelings with the people that I felt the safest with.
Yeah.
So for the first little bit, that's kind of how I kind of lived my days. And I have a great support system that prayed for me and sent me like texts and meals and things like that just really, like, that was how like the love of God was shown to me through all those people. And then as I kept going along, I actually joined a group called Grief Share, which is a group that meets in various different churches around Southern Ontario, and it's a group for people who are grieving any kind of loss, where it's a safe space where you can kind of talk about your feelings. And I kind of learned that like every feeling is okay when you've lost someone that you're very close to, and it's okay to feel those feelings. But I also really, really learned that God can be very present in those moments, and that every person and thing that he gives us is a gift. And in those early days, sometimes it's easy to think that he took them away from you, but I kind of learned that, like, I kind of changed my perspective, and it was like he didn't take those people away from us. He actually gave them to us as a gift. And like I feel like I had the best mom in the world, the best friend, the best,
Of course.
all of the things. And I know that she was a gift from God, and we don't get to choose the amount of days that we have with those people. We don't know how many days we have, but he does. And I really kind of learned that through my journey. And I learned that God can meet us on our darkest days, and it's okay to lean into the despair and the sorrow.
Sure.
But it's also okay to lean into the good that life has to offer us, even post grief.
Yeah.
There is a lot of good that God still has for us. And so that's kind of how I've been grieving. And then just leaning into the people that God has placed around me. and my family. And yeah, he's shown so much love through them. And I think it's been so humbling to see and to feel, for sure.
Yeah, I found that amazing. And you felt this, I mean, I think we've talked about it, but like when someone texts you something that feels like you just needed to hear, or you heard that someone was praying for you, or someone dropped something off, you feel like, I feel like this anyway, I felt like God answered my prayer through them, or they were answering my prayer, in a strange, weird way, without them knowing or me knowing. And I love how that all works, if we say yes to encouraging, or you come to mind, and we feel like texting, and we actually say yes to actually type it in, and not just let the thought leave our minds. And so I know you've been on the receiving end of those kind of gifts from people in that, right? And we see God in those things, right?
Yeah, and I think people have taught me how to love like more fully and better going forward. It's just, I think when you go through things like this, you see how well people listen to God and love people who are hurting so well. And it just like I've just learned so much through the people in my life, how to go forward and just love people well through their hurt. I think.
How did you see God in the middle of, like, like when your mom was going through what she was going through? How did you recognize God in that, and in her, like in her response, kind of how she was reacting to it all?
My mom, by nature, was like just such a nurturer. She cared for people so well. She cared for their feelings so well. She was like an excellent friend. And she spent a lot of time like in the Word and with God, and like right up until her final days. Like she was not I think she was like, she don't want to miss out on anything that like we were doing and that kind of thing. But she wasn't afraid of death. Like she knew that, that it was okay. She was going to be with Jesus and that kind of thing. And so I learned from her that in the highs and the lows, like God can still be very real, and he's still the same God all through the highs and the lows and that kind of thing. And I just learned so much about through her about it's not just like you can't just have faith in God through the good times. You also have to have faith through the bad times. And through the times where it doesn't make sense and you don't understand, you can still trust that his plan is the best plan, and she lived that very fully. And I think I learned that through her, but also I think God just taught me that sometimes we don't know what tomorrow holds, and that's okay.
Well, we actually never know what tomorrow holds. We never know it, right?
Exactly.
We just embrace what the day brings. And I think when someone like your mom, gets to that, I mean, unfortunately I've seen it, but like you see that they are so well aware and recognize that what they experienced up until that moment in their life was a gift. And so they start to be more grateful for what they've had, and be able to balance it with what they think or what they thought they were going to miss. It's a strange thing to watch that transition in them, in someone like your mom that had such strong faith.
Totally. Oh, there was such like a peace that I remember some of us feeling kind of like, hey, like isn't she more sad that she's leaving us? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of feel like that. It was just there was such a peace, like that last day. It was just like, no, like I'm going to like be with Jesus. Like, I love
Yeah.
you guys. I'll miss you guys. Like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, no, like that's the end goal kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of neat to
That's beautiful.
see that in
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. Tell me, and maybe you mentioned this a bit, but like, how did you balance, or how are you balancing now, like grief and joy? And how is that
Mhm.
important for someone that's walking through something difficult, balancing grief and joy?
Yeah, I think like I I don't know. I think in those early days, like I felt so sad that I didn't understand. I didn't, there were some days where it's like, I don't know if I'll ever feel joy. Like,
Mm,
I don't know. Like, it just felt kind of like, if I'm being totally honest. Um, and then, as time went on, I realized that, you know, um, sorrow and joy can coexist, and it's okay for them to coexist. Like I remember, and I still like this still happens, but I'll like be having a sad moment, or a moment
yeah.
where I feel kind of like and my kids will do something funny, or like um or I'll they're just things that happen through your day that it's like, oh, like that does bring me joy, and and it's okay. Like, it's okay to lean into the really hard moments, and the really like, it's okay to be sad, but it's also okay to be very joyful. And I think
Yeah.
God um is in both of those things,
Oh, yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, he
So
definitely is.
I don't yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I do the best job balancing it every day, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I try really hard to, especially for my kids, to see that it's okay to because it's been a hard thing to kind of navigate how to parent my kids through this, and just how to help them, because they lost their nana, and
Sure.
that's
Sure.
that's a hard thing for kids that are young, and or kids of any age. But um it's okay to be sad, but it's also okay to laugh and be joyful, and she would
Yeah.
want that, and God wants that
Oh,
for
yeah.
us, like,
And we kind of want it too. Except it's hard for us to see. I think maybe the
yeah.
word here is, when we're walking through something like this, is permission. So you give
Mhm.
permission to your kids to be sad when they're sad, or to yourself
Yeah.
when you were walking through some of the darker moments, or the deeper sorrow. But then you also have to give yourself permission to have joy when you feel guilty
Yeah.
that you're going to enjoy something, because you've
Mhm.
been feeling sad for so long. It's like, am I allowed to
Yeah.
enjoy this? And you have to kind of give yourself
Yeah.
permission to be like, wait, this is a good thing. Like, I'm going out with
Yeah.
my husband, or we're having a good family moment. Like, I got to take this in, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's so much that life has to offer, and like you don't want to miss that, because
No.
this is a gift, right?
Yeah.
Like
It really is.
all
It
of these
really is.
things
Yeah.
are a gift, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's one. Thanks so much for sharing about her. And yeah, I mean, I got to meet her a few times, and we messaged a few times, like
I know.
on and off over the years, like on Instagram. We would we
Yeah.
would message each other, or Facebook, and she was obviously so lovely. Um,
Yeah.
so thanks for sharing
Mm.
about her. And you spoke
That's
about her faith, so I want to kind of end with this question. So, like, she had quite a strong faith in Jesus. So my question to you is, and as people listening, either from our church community or whoever's watching that might be checking us out for the first time, why Jesus for you? Like, why did you start following Jesus, or why do you still follow Jesus? However you want to respond to that question. Yeah, as we wrap it up.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, it's just because I just love what he's about. Like, I just think like he taught us so well how to love every kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
and that's to me what his whole ministry is all about, just how to love people well. Um, I just think, like, in so many ways, my life wouldn't make sense without him in it. And just with everything that like I've been through, the highs and the lows, it's just like he's always been there and present. And full of so much, like just love and grace and kindness and care, and just the relationship that we have just through my day, like just talking to him, and or just turning to the Bible and like learning more about him, and like just like I just look to him, and just just like I said, like everything he's about, that's how I want to live my life. And his provision over my life and his sovereignty is just always been a constant through everything that I've been through. So
that's good. I love hearing that, of course. And like we have probably some mutual friends that are maybe walking through some difficulties with their faith, or struggling, or a word that comes up a lot these days is deconstructing their faith, or working through stuff, and I totally appreciate that. How, because I mean, I think we're the same here. We want to always be open to like whatever question you have, whatever thought you have, whatever doubt you have, it's all valid, it's all important, right? It's all good. I would say that, like, I mean, I probably heard one of the people that I've read a bunch say, like, if I'm going to be wrong about anybody, like, I'd rather be wrong in a sense about Jesus, because like everything he's taught me, in the end, if I was wrong about something, how could it be so bad that this was all full about love and grace and mercy and goodness and how to love your neighbor? And so I'm like, I'm all in, right? And now that said, I'm hooked, right? Like Jesus ruined me in a good way many years ago, and I just love him, and I love following him, and I love making a difference in this world because of him. But
totally.
And I love that even though we have some friends and neighbors and a bunch of people that like also question, he loves them just as much, and that's also very, very cool and beautiful. So
totally. And I think that's where I've come to my faith too, that it's okay to kind of wrestle with things and question things and that kind of thing. And growing up, like I think I became a Christian when I was 6 years old, but like, and I look at my daughter now, 6, and I'm just like, how do you even know everything? And you don't, you just have like that childlike faith. But then as you grow, and I think it's okay to kind of be like, oh, like, why do I believe this? And, that kind of thing. But I think what it boils down to for me is just like what you said, love and grace. And, those are the biggest like reasons why I will follow him today. Yeah.
That's good. Thanks for sharing that and being open about that. And I love hearing the different responses. Like, you're the second in this interview series, and so it's going to be fun just to see how the others respond to that question, and because we all kind of come to it from a different place in our lives. So, well, Sarah, man, this was great. Thank you so much for taking the time. And just so you know, this is evening for us here because Sarah is a mom, and so she had to make sure the kids were all in bed, and that the house was quiet, and so we kind of filmed this after 9 o'clock at night, which is so cool.
After hours.
After hours.
If you want to get me, it's after 9 o'clock.
If you want to have a meaningful 15-minute conversation with Sarah, call her after 9 o'clock.
After 9 o'clock.
It's good. Well, I hope you have a good rest of the summer, and I know we'll run into each other and see you. Oh, that was your dog.
There we go. We almost made it.
We almost made it. That's hilarious. But thanks for doing this. And I know people appreciate watching it. So we're going to sign off. And I hope everyone has an amazing week. Peace, love, and recycle. Bye, Sarah.
Okay. Bye.
Ciao. Bye. Hey, folks, thanks so much for joining us this week. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for listening to this conversation with Sarah. It was wonderful. So many good things to take home. Hope and pray that you are getting as much rest as you can squeezed out of this month of August. We're going to be talking about that over the next few weeks as well. And so may you find peace and rest and joy in all of these last days of summer. I hate even saying it, but it is the truth. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. For those that want any information about giving or more information about us, you'll find it at the end of this video. All right. Hope to hear from you and hope to see you very soon. Peace, love, recycle. Bye-bye.